Experts agree that it's a $10 billion industry in real estate. That's on the HomeVestors website, but obviously competition is fierce. There's other investors, there's the folks that are just selling things themselves, that are trying to struggle through their own short sale approvals. There are those that, your real estate agents that you're competing against in this. So there's a lot of people out there competing for that $10 billion, but there's still a lot of money to be made in this business. And I love this quote by Henry Ford. It says that it's been his observation that most people get ahead during the time that other people waste. And that's something to really think about when you're working and running your day. It's that, the time that we dawdle and do things that really aren't income generating activities, somebody else is getting that money that we're leaving essentially right there on the table. So that leads us to time, and that leads me to also ask you, are you spending enough time on income generating activities? So what I encourage people to do when I consult with them and help them reorganize some things in their business is to stop and think every time you do something. Is this something that's going to make me money or cost me money? And is this something I could have someone else do for a lot less than I plan to make myself? Here's another great thought. The rich and the poor have the same 24 hours in a day. It's what they do with that time that separates them. Here's one thing to think about. I like to say Oprah is not updating her Twitter page, contrary to popular belief. She's not updating her website when something new happens. Donald Trump's not calling to check on the status of an appraisal, nor is he looking for a loan commitment or even writing his own contracts. People are doing those things for them. And that's how those names are common today here with us, because they have the time to do the other things that they're doing. So just think about that one. Here's some scary numbers, or maybe not. The average American earns about $50,000 a year. That's according to the U.S. Census in 2008. That's boring if you ask me. These are some not so average folks. We all know who they are. I don't have to even name their names. They're doing things obviously different. And if you're earning only $50,000 a year, you're working too hard. And that's only if you're working about 50 hours a week, which is very, very easy to do, especially if you're in real estate. That comes out to about $19.38 an hour. Now, if you reduce your work schedule to 40 hours, you're increasing your average per hour income to about $24.18. That sounds a little bit better, but average still doesn't cut it, because if you want to hit $1 million mark, which is far less than what our friends Bill Gates and Warren Buffett are making, but it's still a nice little income, you're going to have to work about 41,000 hours at $24.18 an hour. Now, the scary part is there's only 8,760 hours in a year. That's at 24 hours a day. So you can see how hard it is to go from that number to anything higher than that unless you start looking for ways to implement some leverage, to work smarter, and to spend less time doing things that aren't income generating. It's all about focus. To perform at peak performance, you have to really focus on what the task is at hand. If your phone is ringing and you're negotiating an offer with a seller and somebody else calls and you need to jump over here and work on that, you're distracted. An email comes in or whatever else it is. You lose momentum, and often sometimes you lose some money too in your negotiations. So the rock climber here is a good example of that. When you're climbing a rock, you have to be very careful where you put your foot, where you put your hand, paying very close attention to where you are, and then obviously the next step that you make. If you don't, we all know what could happen. And this puts you obviously at a very, very disadvantage. Now, there's a lot of activities that are involved in real estate, and I'm going to go through what has to be done in your real estate business. Then I'm going to talk to you specifically about the contract to close phase of real estate. A lot of professional speakers out there, a lot of people that talk and sell products don't talk about that part because it's really not that glamorous. It's the work, it's the nuts and bolts of it. You know, it's fun to sell property, it's fun to talk to buyers and sellers and negotiate and so forth. But to nag them to get something signed and to get that over to a title company and then to harass a lender to get them to close it and then to the title company and all that, it's really not that glamorous. But that's what we do all day long. But obviously in real estate you have to generate leads. You have to capture and convert those and make those into appointments. Those are the core of our business as far as feeding our funnel and keeping things moving. Many of those, however, can be automated. Okay? Your website could capture your leads. You could have a secretary, an assistant, or even somebody virtually that could make all of those into appointments if you saw fit. Presenting those to buyers and sellers, presenting agreements, that's another core part of your real estate business. Obviously, showing those properties, marketing those, whatever method you're using in your business, that's another very, very important part of your real estate business. Writing and negotiating those contracts, we just talked about that. That's very important to your real estate business. And then, of course, coordinating it to the sale, which we're going to talk about in a moment, and managing the money. Now, all of those items are, there's really kind of no way of getting around those. Those are the things that are required in your real estate business. Some of those you could leverage out, you could leverage your time out, you could delegate to others, but that's really it in a nutshell.